Namaskar and a very good morning to the session chair here today morning, all the seniors and dignitaries sitting on the dais, off the dais, my colleagues. Uh, uh, Speaking subsequent on the subsequent day and might be the second presentation is so much more comfortable because a lot of the basic things have already been cleared and defined, and most of us who are here, we know what we are talking about in terms of the digital transformation. The presentation, I'll keep it short. We can have Q&A and actual, problem-related queries later on. Another thing is the perspective I'm going to present is basically from what we do in ONGC regarding the exploration and production sector. So with that, I'll not go into the definitions, I'll not go into the percentages, but I'll just tell you what we are doing in ONGC today. So we have already talked about the digitalization in the oil and gas industry, and also the difference, what was being brought out by Dr. Ravi Mishra in the terminology of what digitization is, what digitalization is, and what digital is. So let me just say my perspective about digitalization is it's a constant thing, and I don't think it's disruptive. We ourselves are a product of digitalization right through. It's been 33 years since I've joined the oil and sector, and right through from day one in the operations, I have been in that constant change, the dynamics or the dynamism that digitalization has brought. And I also would like to reiterate that we are suddenly not deluged by digitalization. It has always been a part of our E&P industry. Only might be at some times the technologies and the techniques that come up, they are overwhelming, but we have been able to keep pace with it. Some tech sectors, of course, yes, like it has been pointed out in the oil field sector, I mean, where the production and the development is going on, might be the actual digitalization process is a little slower. But I do believe right from the acquisition, because I come from an exploration background, right from the acquisition, processing, as well as interpretation part of it, or the analytics part of it, we have kept abreast. I mean, we meaning ONGC have kept abreast of whatever new technologies or techniques or digitalization has come up anywhere in the globe. So with that, we would be taking up the elements of the digital landscape, as you all would be aware. Basically, we have divided it into data, technology, business model, and a new way of working. Why we do this categorization? Of course, we all know that it makes it easier for us, but right from the time it is planned, the project is planned, we always incorporate the part of the digital world in it. So this is the worldwide number which has come up, how much is being spent, which shows how much of the industry contribution is there in the technologies and the services that are associated with the oil and gas sector. So and the projection there is. So it really gives an impetus to the services that are attached with the oil and gas industry. Then nowadays we all talk about the application in the oil and gas industries. Of course, we have the upstream, the midstream, and the downstream. And we talk about this fourth wave, or 4.0 of IT revolution. So again, it's just listed there. So what we are trying to say, it is an all-encompassing, and it's actually a network of the digitalization that goes with the oil and gas production. So we have right from the intelligent oil field to the pipeline when we come to the midstream, because how we evacuate our produce, and finally into the refinery and the value added products that bring with it. So transformation, yes, we have been talking on what we are doing in ONGC. So we have this digital center of excellence, which has been conceptualized almost 4 years back, and we have gated it into different phases, and this is what we have gone ahead with. So we have the phase 1, which comprises of the development of enterprise wide digital vision, and it encompasses right from exploration to the production aspect as well as the drilling aspect of it. So we have the digital vision and strategy, the governance part of it, the structurization, what is the roadmap ahead, and phase 2 would be technology selection and vendor onboarding, and the phase 3 would be comprising technology implementation support. Now the background to this is also another strategy for energy, looking at ONGC as an integrated company, which is the Energy Strategy 2040. So the digitalization has been incorporated right through the strategy of the company, and not only for exploration, but for production as well, for drilling, and moving on into the renewables also. So we have a very broad energy strategy 2040, where we aim to double our production and the market cap. So all that has been already been structured. The framework is ready, and that is the road we are moving ahead with. So the themes were to drive digital transformation. We need to connect and optimize our operations, re-platform and enable intelligent enterprise, safe and productive workforce. Of course, these are the aims, and integrate and optimize the supply chain. Then, of course, ONGC has been into existence for since 1956. Starting as a very small division of the Geological Survey of India, then moving on, and we have been able to establish, other than Assam, so many fields in India. So the data, right from the analog data, the paperwork, even when I started, I joined in '89, the seismic interpretation was being done on paper. We used to literally mark the horizons, then note the timing on the register. And when I joined in the field in '90 at Kaveri, we had a 386 over there, and that was my first introduction to PC actually. So a 386 was there. We had a geoservices logging unit, and we were supposed to note down all the from the sensors, all the data that was incoming. Of course, the register was always omnipresent there, and at that time, the master logs were being made by hand. And in our spare time, we used to have rotary pens, and we used to, do the completion and listing of all the lithologies and the ROPs and the RPM. All that was done by hand at site, I can tell you. So from that, and coming on to, and of course, the only, what we used to do on a 386 was calculate the D exponent curves. And for the lag time calculation, we used to do the drilling hydraulics. And actually getting used to a PC, for the first time, it was quite a daunting task. But then I had very good, I would say, or rather very hard taskmasters as my seniors. So within a day too, I was supposed to understand it all and carry independently on my own. So anyway, that might have been the digital transformation for me at that time. So anyway, the GNG, now why I'm talking about this is the kind of data that we had from there. From 1959, we started recording the seismic surveys. The seismic was all the SegWide data in tapes, and of course the product and the interpretation or the analysis part was on paper, when we used to take the RTF films and then print it, and then again convert it back into maps. So from there, now where we are, it's a huge leap and a huge incorporation of the entire process of digitalization. You talk about logs and the composite logs, even the GTOs were prepared by hand at that time. Right now, we just have to feed in the parameters. There's a program which brings out the GTO with all the data which is required. Only the signature part has to be sort of by hand on that. So, but why we need is the amount of data. And of course, doing it manually would be a humongous task. So as I was telling you, since '59, we have established 6 of the sedimentary basins of India. other than Assam, and then later on Mahanadi and the Vindhyans and the Kutch has come up. So the kind of data right from the seismic to the geochemical to the drilling data with the well data, right from cuttings and logging and everything, it makes a huge amount of data to be sifted through, I would say. So we have this data repository since a long time. Of course, all the well completion, the formation, evaluation, the subsequent reports are written down. But then in 1998, ONGC came up with this idea of having an exploration and production network, which is called the EpiNet, in which everything was loaded and to be made available as and when required, because we moved on to the landmark, the Sun network in terms of interpretation of the seismic data integrated with the well data and everything. So actually the digital transformation started from 1998 for ONGC. So over here, this is what we are doing. Right now we have tried to bring in all the data together. So data-driven GNG infrastructure with the consolidation of all the resources, master project implementation, and then we are going to have a centralized, we already have one, but that is going to be further refined. And because there are different domains of GNG, as you all are aware, so this kind of a digitalization or centralization would bring in the synergy between different domains. Then of course, the decision making or the analytical part becomes quicker, so your decision making removes a lot of uncertainties. And then we have this device independent user access, and a dynamic allocation of resources, as well as data security. Now that is, of course, since yesterday we have been talking about a lot about data, but then of course the data security, and I think Baker Hughes, somebody did point out to the data security, and there have been breaches. He talked about some outside, but I know right next door to us in the Northeast, there was a huge data breach in the Oil India's databases. Yeah, okay, is it that fast? So, okay, this is the infrastructure, interpretation, processing, and archival. Then consolidated of the IT infrastructure. This is from the basins and from the institutes. We are going to collect the data, organize it, and the initiatives, as I have already talked about, the Digital Center of Excellence, and the AI/ML based data science tool. We already are using AI/ML based data. Then the size intelligence, of course, again, a lot of our interpretation programs and softwares are AI/ML based, and we have been reaping the benefits of it. In-house also we have tried to develop. A lot of projects are based on deep learning. And then we have this question answer system, in which, because of the separation of a lot of experienced people and a lot of legacy knowledge being lost, so we have structured one software in which people can put their queries and get answers thereby. We also have a huge knowledge management division which takes care of the experience and the legacy knowledge. So then of course one of the features which we are trying to build in, because our the laboratory based manpower has been decreasing day by day, and it is very difficult and to find typical index fossils, because ONGC is one of the companies which goes through a lot of data sampling. So also we have tried to build in this fossil image classification, so it becomes easier for the next interpreter. And in the areas of fall prediction, we all know how important they are, especially for the tight reservoirs, in terms of fracking, in terms of the basement exploration, in terms of the tight carbonate reservoirs. So deep learning for the geological fault prediction, and also for the planning of the well. We need to know what direction the stresses are. So over here also we have taken help of this. So in conclusion, I would say the harnessing the data integration and analytic application to focus on business priorities. Then the foundational capabilities related to technology, architecture, talent, data management, governance, partnership, and alliances. And adopting the digital operating model, we already have a digital center of excellence, which tries to take more and more projects and more spheres of activities of the exploration and production into its fold. And then, of course, embedding an agile culture to design and implement innovative solutions. So along with this, we are also training and grooming the manpower to become a part of this, and not only to become a part of it, to become leaders for tomorrow's, for the benefit of exploration and production within ONGC. Thank you so much.